I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about the 10 deadly sins for trying to get your ex back. So there are definitely more than 10, but I came up with 10 that I see the most often. And these are very, very important to avoid if you're going to turn around your situation. When you're going through a breakup, you're getting overwhelmed with a lot of hurt, anxiety, sadness, and that can really cloud your mind. And that anxiety and fear sets off an alarm system in our body that we can't turn off. It feels like the only way we're ever going to be happy and turn off that alarm system is to get back with them. Well, that's simply not true. I know you want them back, but if you heal and you process like an adult, it's going to happen sooner than later. The people that are really focused on the personal growth, doing the workbooks and my creative healing course, 30 minutes a day, are far more advancing the people that are just focused on no contact videos and things like that, that aren't really growing and processing. Process is very important. Therapy works, guys. Okay? Therapy works. And you know, what we try and do is present a lot of therapeutic material and approach things from a therapeutic perspective, but also trying to coach you. Okay? So these are really good. And I'm telling you, if you just avoid these 10 things, you will put yourself in a much better position to turn your breakup around. The first one is maybe the worst. This may be the worst thing that you could possibly do to try and get your ex back. And that is to go to their house, go to their home, go to their job. It is so bad, especially for men doing it to women. It scares women very quickly. Under no circumstance ever go to their place. If you've done it, please don't ever do it again. It really scares people. On such a deep biological weapon, they don't feel safe with you when you do this. I can tell you, I have seen so many situations get so much worse just by showing up at their place. And I'm surprised how often I'm hearing it. So that's why I'm putting it at the top of the list, because even people that are watching my channel are still going to their house. And I'll tell you, most of the time, if a guy goes to a woman's house, she's going to threaten either the police or a restraining order. So do not make this mistake. I don't care what any coach tells you. I know there are some that say, oh, ignore, no contact. You got to get in front of them. You got to get in front of them. Please do not do this. Ladies, if you could please share an experience if an ex did this to you, whether it's a current ex or another ex, and how that impacted you in the comments so people don't do this, I really would appreciate that. Okay, so that is very, very big. Number 2, this is similar, not quite as bad, but it's still pretty bad. Do not stalk them or drive past their house or their job. Guys, you think you're not going to get caught? You're going to get caught. You would be surprised how often people get caught. I know you think you're going by at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to get caught. I've seen it all. Okay? Neighbors are outside. Neighbors recognize your car. Now there are video cameras everywhere. Okay? How many people have Ring cameras in front of their house and something gets tripped off and all of a sudden they see it's your car, it is going to make a major impact on trying to repair this with your ex. So that is a major, major sin for trying to get your ex back. Do not stalk them. Do not drive past their place. Do not do it. You're going to get caught and hurt your chances. Okay? And even if you do get caught, you're going to feel really bad about it. You're not going to feel good about yourself. It's going to make you feel worse. And we're trying to make you feel better after a breakup. Okay, number 3. This is a big one. Do not let their current interest level impact you and your motivation. Okay, your ex after a breakup tends to be very cold, mean, hurtful. They look like they're never coming back, and the more you pressure them, the more likely they're going to say, I'm never coming back. They may even start to talk to other people or even date other people. But you can't let that impact how you're going to grow from this breakup or how much you're going to focus on personal growth. A lot of people think that their situation is hopeless for whatever reason, and that belief is so negative, they go back to their old behaviors, they forget about everything that they've learned, and they often regret it because oftentimes their ex does come back, or they meet somebody else and now those mistakes that they were making before, they're going to make them again. So you don't want to let your ex's current interest level impact your motivation level. Number 4. Some coaches will tell you to do this. I would never tell you to do this. Do not pretend to be their friend or agree to friendship, especially if you have romantic interest in them. Now, sometimes people will want to stay friends and they truly mean it. But if you really want to repair this, and you have to be honest with yourself, don't reach out and tell them you're going to be their friend. Because think about it. Like, now you're going to, if you're really going to be their friend, that means, okay, they're moving on. They're going to date other people. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with hearing about their new love life and their new relationship? Because that's what friends do. Like, if you're genuinely their friend, you're going to hear about that relationship and talk to them about it and help them with it. So that sounds like torture to me. I would never be friends with somebody I'm romantically interested in. If they're not interested, I understand. I'm not going to try and change their mind or manipulate them. They have every right to feel that way. But I'm not going to pretend to be something that I'm not, and I'm not going to settle for less than what I want. All right, number 5. Do not beg or try to change their mind or pressure them. Pressuring them only makes it worse. I'm telling you, I've seen so many people, and I constantly talk to people on a weekly basis that try to beg, try to change their mind. It simply shifts the power dynamic from equals to now them feeling like they can take you for granted. You're not an equal anymore. They're above you. You're below them. In a way, you are putting them above you when you do that. So it's on you to do this or not do this. Don't try to change your mind, okay? That is not a natural, healthy dynamic for attraction. That's, I'm desperate and I will do anything to get this thing, this desire, but it comes across as sad, not attractive. So please don't do that. Okay, number 6. I put 2 together here because they really should be holding hands. Do not send a handwritten letter or a clean slate message. This is weak, okay? This is weak behavior, and more often than not, the handwritten letter especially gets ignored. I'd say most of the time the handwritten letter gets ignored. The clean slate message has a better response back typically, but, and this is the important part, it doesn't typically lead to any kind of momentum and turning it around. Okay? So I would not recommend either of those things. In my experience, they have not worked. When I talk to people, because I don't tell people to do it, but when people come to me and we're talking about the breakup and they tell me I did a clean slate message, I did a handwritten letter, I always say, well, what happened? Tell me what happened, because I want to know. I like, hearing these things. They often say, didn't work. They ignored it. They were polite, but didn't go anywhere. Okay, number 7. I made this mistake before. Do not contact their friends or family to try to get information. I did this. I did this with the Applebee's girl. I went to her mom, her sister, her brother. At the time, her brother and her sister only lived a couple doors down, and the brother was there all the time, and the mom was there. And so I had easy access to talking to them, and quite frankly, they loved me. We had a great relationship. My family and her family, we had a really great, family dynamic. And they were rooting for me at the time. I mean, they were trying to help me and they were trying to encourage me, and they just loved the way I treated her daughter and her. And so they tried to give me information. But you know what happened? She found out. And she was mad. And she was really pissed. And especially in her mom. And then she didn't even talk to her mom for a while because her mom kept defending me, and her mom was actually pushing her to get back with me, right? So she didn't even talk to her mom for a while, which made her feel isolated because her whole family is like, why aren't you talking to Craig? You should work it out. What's going on with you? We really love him. And so it only made it worse because she felt isolated from her family. They weren't supporting her, which they weren't. And now she's angry at me, and it doesn't make her feel any attraction, right? And so don't try and push family and friends for information, because a few things can happen. Number one, well, obviously it can make her mad or him mad, but you don't always get accurate information. I learned that the hard way too. I had a mutual friend that I thought I was going to help in my situation. And they were giving me bad information. And it turned out that I didn't even understand or realize it, but that particular person had romantic feelings for me. And they did not express that at the time. But then I started figuring it out slowly, looking at how things were playing out. And when I talked to my ex, she was like, why would you believe so-and-so? She lies about stuff. And so I realized, oh my gosh, I was getting bad information and I had no idea why. The other thing is, they can misinterpret information, or your ex gives them only partial information because they don't want other people to know things. So the information is often inaccurate, and you don't necessarily want to hear it because it often makes things worse or makes you feel worse. Okay, so going to friends and family for information is not a good idea. Big, big mistake. Okay, number 8. Listening to your friends and family for advice. This is a big one. I know you guys want to talk to your friends and family about the breakup. I felt the same way. And it's not easy to balance listening to them and talking to them about the breakup with breakup strategy, because they're gonna give you bad breakup strategies. To be honest with you, there are very few people in this world that correctly understand breakup strategies. Okay? And so they are going to give you well-meaning information. They want to see you successful. They want to see you turn around, but they don't understand breakups any more than anyone else would not understand a subject like somebody who's truly studied it and mastered for years. So you have to talk to them about it, but don't listen to them. Please. I used to do it. I used to talk to everybody. I thought to myself, there's got to be somebody in this world that understands breakups. And it felt like nobody did. And so I was always talking to people, and it just, the people that are trying to help you, they genuinely do want to help. It's just that they don't really understand the nuances of how people are feeling, what they're wanting, what's going on with them, mental health, attachment styles, all of these things about breakups like we do on the channel. Okay, I just had a coaching with a woman last week who she had done an email coaching with me a while ago, and I gave her a good plan, and when she was doing it, it was going well, and her ex was chasing her. The mistake she made was, well, two big mistakes. The first one was that she assumed that because her ex had bad behavior and was chasing her, doing all these things, that she could do the same thing. The second thing is that she started to ignore all the strategy from the plan and started doing the strategies that her friends were telling her. I literally told her on the call, tell your friend never to give anyone breakup advice again, because her situation was turning around and going well to completely falling apart. Okay? The guy didn't want to talk to her. Now he's dating somebody else. He's being cold. He's being rude. When this man was literally chasing her when she was following the strategy of the email coaching. So please, I know you want to talk to your friends and family, and I get that they want to give you support. But if you don't hear us recommend it on the channel in a video, don't do it. You can do it if you want, but you're not going to see good results, okay? I wouldn't ever tell you to do something I wouldn't do myself, guys, okay? I mean that. And so when I'm telling you these things, I'm telling you what I would or wouldn't do if I wanted to get somebody back. And there's nobody in this planet that I trust more with this than me, because I obsessed about this stuff for years before I even launched one video. And then Margaret and I would talk every week about breakups for years. And I'm talking about for years before she came on the channel, because there was a long time between me starting the channel and her coming on board to the channel. And so you gotta understand, we were talking about this stuff for hours every week for years, trying to understand this stuff. And so please, don't go to friends and family who just tell you something that they think of off the top of their head that is likely going to make things worse for you. All right, number 9. This is so big. Don't try to force things. I'm a big believer in just going with the flow of life, because oftentimes things are meant to happen for a reason. I believe that. Okay, doing what I do for a long time, I really believe that things happen for a reason, and you don't want to fight it. You don't want to force it. When you do, it usually doesn't go well, especially with other people. But even with careers and friendships and all these things with life, I really believe that yeah, you want to work on things and you want to kind of head off in a direction, but you don't want to force things. And so much of our anxiety tells us to do certain things to force it because we're scared, we're afraid, we're anxious, we're lonely, we miss them. And so we want to force those things, but you don't want to do it. It's going to make things a lot worse for yourself. You go with the flow of life, and things tend to go great. You know, whether you believe in God, that's a personal choice, or maybe you just believe in the universe, or maybe you don't believe in any of that, you know. But I kind of have faith in all of those things, in God and the universe, that things are going to go the way that they're meant to, because I've seen in my personal life that when I do that and I live my life like that, it usually goes much better than I expected. Okay, and much better than the things that I even planned for myself. Okay, the last one, and probably the biggest mistake that you can make, is not working on yourself and not bettering yourself from this breakup. And I'll tell you, there has been nothing in my life that has been more motivating to me than my breakups. And I have been very open about my own personal life. You know, my mom was a very sweet, thoughtful person, and my dad was great and so loved. It was incredible to see how he matured and changed as a man over his life, because he was more avoidant. And so my parents were in that anxious avoidant trap. And so they split up when I was about a year and a half old. And of course, that's a major trauma. You think that babies can't be traumatized by that, being a year and a half old, an infant, or, you know, you're not even a toddler yet, a year old, year and a half old. That is a major trauma, because my dad was a great dad. He was always very involved with me when he was with my mom. You know, so I'm sure he was laughing with me and playing with me and taking care of me. And then, you know, the divorce was so toxic. He wound up, you know, cheating on my mom and, you know, marrying somebody else. And that woman had serious mental health problems, right? So that was a lot of toxicity between my mom and him that impacted my entire childhood. And then going over there caused me massive amounts of separation anxiety when I was young. I didn't understand this stuff, but it was not good for me in that environment. And so, you know, then my mom remarried, and she was with my stepdad until I was like in high school, right out of high school. Then they got divorced, and then she remarried, and then he remarried. So I saw all of these marriages falling apart, and, you know, they weren't healthy, right? And so it was only until I really started putting together that attachment trauma and, you know, those issues from our childhood impact our romantic relationships that I really started to become a lot more enlightened. The stuff that I'm teaching, nobody talked about when I launched my channel. And I'm talking about even when I was in my master's program for mental health. They weren't even talking about attachment theory. And certainly no one was talking about it with breakups. I kind of pioneered this with Margaret behind the scenes, understanding this stuff, that, you know, attachment in those first few years really comes out in our romantic relationships. Because even with Margaret for a long time, I didn't understand. I was like, Margaret, how could something that happened at 2 years old or 3 years old impact me at 35 or whatever it is? But it does. And the more we talked about it and discussed it, the more we were able to heal those things with me and educate me and educate each other so we could do what we do, right? So you want to take a look at how your relationships with your caregivers are correlated with your romantic partners. I promise you, you are going to see those things. The harder you work on it, the more you're going to see it. Not reflecting on unhealthy mistakes you made is a big mistake, because you won't navigate your future relationships in a healthy way. Or if your ex comes back, it will continue with the struggles that you've already had. So you need to look at unhealthy behaviors and attitudes and make changes in those things. And, you know, process the breakup in a healthy way, talking about it. Like I've been very open about since I started. I was talking to Margaret about my breakups for a long time, okay? For years. And that's what helped me process and heal and learn and figure this stuff out so I could change the world and help you guys, which I'm very proud of. But giving up on yourself because you don't think they're going to come back is the biggest mistake that you can make. You should be the star in your own life, and you can use this time to motivate you unlike any other time you've had in your life. So don't be so eager to rush to date other people, because if you do, your motivation level to change and grow is going to drop significantly. Okay? So avoid these 10 mistakes, and you will put yourself in a much better position to get your ex back and change your life in a positive way. Okay, so hopefully this video has been helpful to you. Of course, you can get my help personally on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. You can get my creative healing course or my workbooks only on my website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.